Hey Lakers fans, this is Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and LeBron James and Anthony Davis are back. The father-son duo have been christened, and lo and behold, the Lakers actually look good. The Lakers continue to flash some promising signs after playing their second preseason game last night versus the Phoenix Suns. So as I did in my last recap video, let's go through some nightly awards and then close things out with my 3 key takeaways from Lakers preseason game 2. For my MVP of the night, that is going to go to the brow Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis looked spry, he looked mobile, he was doing everything on both ends of the court. He pretty much hit every kind of shot you could ask for. He converted alley-oops, he hit a three-pointer, he was hitting his mid-range jump shot. Even passing-wise, he was playing the Sabonis role at the top of the key to perfection, hitting cutters in stride with really nice bounce passes. 17 points in 17 minutes, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. 80 was everything everywhere all at once. And yeah, Anthony Davis looks primed and ready to go this season, and he looks the most in shape that he's ever been to start a year. So MVP of last night's game goes to AD. All right, moving on to 6th man of the game. I'm going to give this one to Jackson Hayes because I really love the energy and activity that Jackson Hayes brought off of the bench. He only had 5 points, but he was doing everything he needed to do as a connective player on the offensive end, setting the right screens, setting the right dribble handoffs, rolling at the right times, catching lobs, knowing when to pass, and then most of all, on the defensive side of the ball, I felt like his defensive hustle was very apparent. He grabbed 8 rebounds, had 1 steal, and 2 blocks, including that amazing play where he dove on the floor for the loose ball, passed it to LeBron James, and that ended up igniting the Lakers' fast break attack, which ended up with the LeBron James left-handed hammer. So yeah, Jackson Hayes gets my 6-man nod of the night. Now for most improved player of the game, I'm going to give this award to Rui Hachimura. Rui Hachimura looked absolutely lost and at times disengaged last game, but with LeBron James and Anthony Davis back, Rui was a lot more locked in and aggressive. He was getting to his spots easily, cutting with intentionality, and overall he was just more decisive in his movements and attacks. He was also just a lot more active in general, rotating better on defense, and then most importantly, hustling for boards. The best part about Rui's game last night was his 8 rebounds in just 22 minutes. And if Rui Hachimura can clean up on the glass this year more consistently, the Lakers are going to be in very good shape most nights. So Rui Hachimura gets my 6-man of the night award. Now let's move on to defensive player of the game. I could go with a number of players here, from Anthony Davis, which is a little bit more obvious, to Jackson Hayes, even maxchristie again. But tonight I'm going to go with LeBron James because this near 40-year-old man had no business being as amped up and energized as he was on the defensive side of the floor last night. The 2 blocks that he had were absolutely ridiculous. The one on Mason Plumlee where he stopped Plum Sauce in his tracks and then just blocked his hook shot was awesome. And then the skying block on Devin Booker where he came out of nowhere and then just swatted the ball at its peak out of bounds was absolutely bonkers. So yeah, when your 39-year-old captain is helping set the tone defensively the way LeBron James did last night, what excuse do you have as a role player but not to hustle after the ball and try to stay in front of your man consistently? So my defensive player of the night goes to the king, Mr. LeBron James. Moving on to the play of the night. Obviously, the play of the night is seeing LeBron James and Bronny James get out onto a basketball court together, wearing a Lakers jersey together for the first time. That was a really cool moment to see. But outside of that historic and awesome milestone, which I think we're going to get again during the regular season, when it comes to an actual basketball play, my play of the night is going to go to one I already mentioned, and I'm going to give it to the Jackson Hayes hustle play that led to the LeBron James fast break dunk, namely because I felt like that play was indicative of the Lakers' connective energy, verve, and activity the whole game. When the Lakers are hustling all around the court like that, they are an absolutely explosive and dynamic team on both ends. And Jackson Hayes just selling out and sacrificing his body and diving onto the floor like that exemplifies the type of buy-in that JJ Redick has has gotten from his guys early on. So overall, you just love to see that type of energy from the role players. All right, so that does it for my awards of the night. Let's transition now over to my 3 key takeaways from the game. But before we do that, I'd like to remind you guys to please remember to subscribe to this channel, like the video, comment down below. But again, most importantly, please subscribe. It really does help support the channel and page and the work that I do. With that said, let's move on to my 3 key takeaways from last night's game. So yeah, my 3 keys are going to sound like a lot of the same things that I said in the last video, but I will continue to reiterate them again. My number 1 key takeaway is once again going to be the sets and the read and react motion, particularly the off-ball motion and movement by the Lakers players, because it is so apparent to see on the court. The back screens, the flare-outs, there's always movement, motion, and counters happening on both sides of the court. In the past 2 games, you rarely see one player just stagnant on the floor, just camping out at the 3-point line. One action flows into another action, and players have multiple options to go to based off of what the defense is showing them. And if one offensive action is snuffed out, the Lakers are already in motion on a new action to try out. And yeah, man, the motion and the ball movement has been so fun to watch. Even simple things like how many times the ball switches hands amongst players before the primary play is made. In this case, an Austin Reeves and LeBron James pick and roll. Just seeing that type of movement and action by the players off ball is honestly so jarring, but in a good way. So again, my number 1 key takeaway is the continued implementation of off-ball motion, read and react principles, and just guys not being stagnant on the court and making sure that they're doing something intentional at all times, because it really keeps the other opposing team's defense on its heels. So that is my number 1 takeaway of the night. Moving on to my 2nd key takeaway, it is going to be the same 2nd key takeaway that I had in the last video, but even more apparent with LeBron James and Anthony Davis now in the fold. Defensive buy-in. Again, I said this in the last video, but JJ Redick has these guys locked in and bought in very early on. Every player is rotating, every player is fighting through screens, they're diving for loose balls and selling their body out, they're contesting out to shooters, they're crashing the glass to the best of their ability. Rui Hachimura with 8 rebounds, Jackson Hayes with 8 rebounds. Yes, some of these Lakers players have defensive limitations. Yes, some of them have bad defensive awareness and low IQ at times. But man, in last night's game, you can't question the effort and hustle the collective team showed, even from non-defenders like D'Angelo Russell, who was contesting out to shooters. He was trying to stick with guys, trying to fight through screens. And yeah, it was just awesome to watch last night. So yeah, that is my 2nd key takeaway from last night's game, the continued buy-in from this team with regards to just fighting for their coach, JJ Redick. It's amazing what happens when you like your coach. All right, my 3rd key takeaway of the night would be the fact that, whether you like it or not, D'Angelo Russell is still the Lakers' 3rd best offensive player. You can add the caveats you want to add in terms of maybe he's the 3rd best player in the regular season, maybe he's only the 3rd best player on the offensive end. I don't care. My final conclusion over the last 2 games is D'Angelo Russell is still the 3rd best offensive player on this team. And I don't know if people have necessarily noticed it, but D'Angelo Russell has been really good for the Lakers. And he's been so good that no one has even noticed him, because I feel like he's played his offensive connector role very well. He's been hitting his 3-point shots. He's been cutting off ball, being that safety valve for LeBron James and Anthony Davis. He's been passing the ball well when he's gotten on-ball reps. Most of all, he's conceded on-ball touches to other guys like Austin Reeves, doing this all without complaining about his role. D'Angelo Russell is pretty much sleepwalking to 14 points and 4 assists every night these last few games. And the Lakers very much need his offensive output, not only as a 3-point shooter, but as an off-ball cutter, as the best non-LeBron James playmaker who has the 2nd best connection on the team with Anthony Davis and knows how to get the big man the ball in his spots. And most of all, JJ Redick just needs D'Angelo Russell's high IQ brain on the offensive end to make everything click. So yeah, my 3rd key of the night is don't take D'Angelo Russell for granted, even if you want to ship his ass out eventually. So yeah, that does it for my preseason Game 2 recap. With regards to any final thoughts or conclusions I have, the prevailing notion that I can't get out of my head is just that I love what I've seen from JJ Redick so far. I love the buy-in that he's gotten from the players. It's just very palpable just how much they're willing to fight for this coach. This may all change once the losses start piling up, but So far, so good with JJ Redick. And I can't wait to see how this all coalesces once Jared Vanderbilt comes back to add that additional defensive oomph and intensity to this team that's already trying very hard. So yeah, early returns so far on Coach Redick have been ridiculously good, and I'm ready to run through a wall for this man. And it seems like so are his players so far. So yeah, with that said, that'll do it for this video. Thank you guys again for watching. Please do me a favor and like the video, comment down below, and most of all, please remember to click subscribe on this channel. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for your support. And with that said, this has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time.